Deli Boys, this is such a unique, a funny, like kind of charming in a way show. It's hard to even describe it, but why don't you go through and
Yes.
tell us some about it for those that aren't familiar?
It is basically about two Pakistani American brothers who are this too stupid. They think they're really smart, but they're really stupid. And they now, their dad suddenly dies in the first episode, so they now have to take over the family business, which they haven't worked one day in their lives, by the way, which they think is convenience stores, but they're very quick to discover it is an international cocaine ring. So they are thrust into the life of crime and are ill-equipped is an understatement.
It really is an understatement. I want to get to your character, but first, I think we need to paint a picture of Raj and Mir because Raj is kind of like a cross between Billy Madison and the dude from The Big Lebowski, in my opinion.
Totally.
And and Mir is kind of like wants to be the achiever and wants like they're so opposite. And as you said, truly so ill-equipped. And it's
Just
such a funny dynamic to watch.
yeah, it's like it's a dynamic of the odd couple. Abdullah Saeed has written a show with where opposites live a little too comfortably next to each other, right? So my character is like super nurturing and super loving one second, and then she's taking someone's eye out with her stiletto the next. Like it's and those two moments are just next to each other. So that's where a lot of the hilarious comedy comes from.
Yeah, so let's talk about Lucky a little bit more. Your character, Lucky, she
Yeah.
really cares for the boys and has this
Yes.
nurturing spirit to her, but she also
Mothering, yes.
is running the business and she's like, guys, what we got to do this. Like, what's going on? She's definitely like, walking a line here where she doesn't know what to do.
I also feel like this is the line that all women have to walk. They have to like sit and take care of all these baby men all the time and then run the business at the same time. Like it is literally our plight.
You're so right. And she has this effortlessly cool aspect to her, but she's also kind of terrifying. In the
Terrifying.
episode where the boys, she comes into the convenience store and the boys are like, hey, like, what are you doing here? And she just shoots the guy in the head.
Yeah,
And the guys are like, what's going on? And then she comes
yeah.
up and is wiping Mir's face.
Wiping,
Like,
just wiping, just wiping. I mean, I'm a mom. I'm an Indian mom. Not that all Indian moms do this, but I totally infantilize my son, who's like an 18-year-old. So like it just is that. It's just like this wonderful, like how do I play this character like the nurturing aspect is also a little infantilization. But when it's right next to her shooting someone in the head the next minute, it just is so confusing. So it was a delight to play her.
yeah, and I want to talk some about the comedy here because there's definitely some dark comedy
Yeah.
and there's a lot of different themes going on here, I think, because it's serious topics. Like you said, there people are dying, there's drugs, all sorts of things, but then the viewer is also laughing hysterically at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've seen these crime comedies, right? I mean, not that Soprano was a comedy, but it was really like funny. Like the tone was very, Barry is really funny as well. And Michelle Nader, the showrunner, calls this show a crimedy or a drugedy. Like you pick. But I just feel there's no words out there to describe the show. It's a little bit of like Naked Gun and Airplane humor. It's like slapsticky and super bizarre and absurd. And then there's also a bit of the Sopranos thing going on, but this show moves between genres a lot, but what is really consistent is the fact that the audience gets bumped from one joke to the next.
Yeah, it's never ending and it's so fun to watch. And the brothers, I feel like they're how are they not brothers in real life? I swear they are. Their
I know,
chemistry is so good.
I know. And it was like that from day one. Yeah, and
Absolutely
they're
incredible.
opposites in real life. Like in real life, they're opposites and such good friends. It's such a close cast.
Oh, I'm not surprised to hear that because it comes across on the screen. But the other thing I want to ask you about is the South Asian representation in this, because a lot of times
Yes,
those types of characters are a side character or they're the token character. But in this
totally.
cast, we really get to dive into it a lot more, the whole cast. And it's such a full representation of that culture a little bit more. So talk to us some
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, it feels like representation 2.0, right? And I mean, I joke, but not really. Like we've always been cast as like the doctor, the lawyer, the engineer, the terrorist wife. And finally, there's a show that can show us as drug dealers as well. So like, welcome to the next level of representation. I'm only half kidding, but it is a milestone in representation. It breaks every barrier. But this show is not a show based on identity, which a lot of shows are. You know, I remember when Beef came out, I'm like, this is amazing, because the fact that we are Asian and South Asian, it manifested in the way we eat, the way we pray, the way we curse when we're put in really intense situations. But the story is not about our identity. And you know, someone said Seinfeld has the motto was no hugging, no learning, and this is it. You're not going to get closer to your identity or your family. You're not going to learn any big lessons from the show, and I think that's what I love about it. It is just for laughs.
Yeah, for sure. And not everything needs to be about that, but just to have a full cast of that on the screen is so impactful. And
Yeah,
there's layers to every different person in every different culture, and it's great to
yeah,
see that pulled back
yeah,
in this
yeah,
way.
yeah. I mean, this in a crime comedy through a South Asian lens is hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't know we needed it so much. My first introduction was yeah, it was Abu in The Simpsons. It was my first introduction.
That's right. That's
And this
right.
goes, you know, the deli and things like that. But this is
Yeah.
like, as you said, it's so much deeper. There's so much more nuance to it, and I love it.
Well, it's also like Apple was a punchline in The Simpsons, right? And so this is a progression from the punchline to the plot line. How does the deli person go from just being laughed at to being the main character?
Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for the time, Poorna. This
Thank
show is
you. Thank you,
so
Carrie.
funny.
I'm so happy you liked it. Thank you.
I absolutely love it. Incredible. I hope there's more because I love it.
Thank you. Thanks, Carrie.